Hi and welcome to another episode of Dawncast. I'm Dai Lee.
And I'm Cathy Ngo.
Look, we would have all seen the negative impact of COVID-19 on many businesses such as entertainment and venues, travel, holidays, retail. But what about restaurants? Will the restaurant business survive this pandemic? We speak to Melbourne restaurateur and CEO of Calia, Jason Chang. Jason, thank you very much for joining us. I know you're very, very busy in Melbourne at the moment.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So how are you, first of all? How are you managing?
Trying to survive right now is a very difficult time, especially in Melbourne where we're under stage 4 lockdown and, not having any customers in the store or anywhere near the stores are really affecting us. But, we know we have to do this for the greater good and to curb the virus. So we're just trying to hang in there and hope the numbers drop as fast as possible.
And are you still open, or what sort of changes have you made in order to keep the momentum going?
Yeah, we're still open at the moment. We're doing takeaway and home deliveries, but Calia, about 25% of our sales is actually our retail grocery, gourmet grocery side. So that has a strong online presence. So that's still going as it is, but obviously it doesn't make up for the fact that, I'm in the two, most premium shopping centres in Melbourne, Emporium and Chadstone. And we depend a lot on tourists and customers who are shopping just to walk in. But without that trade, we've suffered 99% fall in in-store sales.
Wow,
and
99%.
9%. So it's not, 90%, but takeaway has made up some of it, but it's only making up maybe 10% of our actual sales that we would normally do anyway. And Uber Eats take 30%. So you're not really making actually, any money from it if the delivery companies are taking 30%. So I guess for us, it's just trying to keep people employed. JobKeeper does help slightly, but in the hospital business, a lot of employees are overseas and international workers who are not eligible for it. And a lot of also casual workers who are also not eligible for it. So this is probably the main problems we're facing right now. Yeah.
I think that the restaurant industry has taken a huge hit, wouldn't you say, Jason, in terms of this whole COVID? And as you said, Melbourne in particular, now that you're in stage 4 lockdown, my God, how do you manage it in terms of,
The sad part is that when you walk around the city now and you see all these for lease signs on restaurants and cafes that were there, at the beginning of the year, they were flourishing at the end of 2019, but they're now all for lease. And I've been called by literally, every real estate agent and landlord in town to see if I want to take space up. But the thing is that, you just can't at this moment in time. And it's sad because people don't realize that when a restaurant closes, families and jobs are ruined as well. And I think that's the major effect. Small businesses here in Melbourne especially make up such a great part of what Melbourne is. And we have been forgotten. It's a situation where people are trying to band together to support each other, but there's only so much you can do. I think it's already August. When we first started the shutdowns was March or April, I remember. But what business can survive 6 months with no cash flow? But landlords are still pursuing for rent, and you still got to pay rent, which is a fair thing. Landlords are suffering as well. So how do we find a common ground is a difficult question. But a lot of retailers and restaurants, especially, just won't come out of it. I've been told, and many other of my restaurant owners, my colleagues, have said to me they won't reopen after this.
Can you tell our listeners a little bit more about your restaurant? Because I hear that it's very special. It's not just Asian food, but there's a lot more to it. Can you share with our listeners?
Sure. So Calia is a restaurant and gourmet grocery brand in Melbourne. So we have 2 stores here, one in Chadstone, one in Emporium, and we have another store in Kuala Lumpur and one opening in Jakarta towards the end of next year. So we primarily, I'd say, modern Japanese. So we have a Michelin star chef, Francisco Araya, who created our menu for us. So the whole purpose and why we started Calia was to use the best local and international ingredients and put that on a plate for you. But we really wanted to highlight and showcase the quality of the ingredients. So we have Wagyu from Robbins Island down in Tasmania. We have truffles from Red Hill. We have Ikura salmon roe from Yarra Valley. But we also have the best, the Rolls Royce of Wagyu, which is Japanese A5 Wagyu from Japan. So, that's a premium dish.
Yeah.
I almost had a heart attack last time I had that.
Yeah.
Melt in the mouth. So for us, the whole idea is that you can come and eat at Calia, but then you can also go to our retail side and buy those ingredients to cook at home. So you can buy the beef, you can buy the sauce, you can buy the plate to go with it, the rice to go with it, and cook it at home. And I mean, we opened in 2014. Oh, sorry, not 2014, 2016. So since then, well, right before COVID, we were serving about 10,000 customers a week across our stores, which is a significant amount. That's nearly 500,000 people a year coming through our doors.
Wow.
Obviously, it's changed since then, and that's Melbourne alone.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, you recently said in the Sydney Morning Herald that, I mean, you're describing here amazing gourmet dishes and
I'm
food.
getting really hungry right now.
But you were speaking on the Sydney Morning Herald recently saying that Asian food is aligned to a perception that it is cheap. So
Yes.
is that what you're trying to break, that perception that it is not cheap and that you can get quality gourmet Asian cuisines and dishes and groceries?
I mean, if you think about it this way, tortellini. To Asians, that's just wontons and dumplings.
Yes.
It is.
It is.
A fancy restaurant here in Melbourne will cost you $30 plus. So $5 each, maybe more. But wontons here, max you'll pay is $12, $13 for a bowl of wonton soup, even though the same amount of care, effort, and love has gone into hand making these wontons. And as Asians, we spend our childhood making dumplings or wontons, and that's what reminds us of home. But it's quite sad because when you see the amount of, I guess, people complain when they spend money on wontons, but when a big name Western chef makes wontons, he can all of a sudden sell it for $20 for 4 of them. Whereas a Asian who is in an Asian restaurant with an Asian name, when you sell wontons for $20, people are not going to buy it from you unless you put some sort of cheese in it or make it really fancy. But not about fancy, unless you add ingredients to make it more Western.
Like putting kale or something on it.
Yeah, and I'm trying to change that perception here by saying Asian ingredients are premium. You're paying for what you get. My customers, there's a bowl I sell. It's called the Ultimate Bowl. It has uni from Tasmania, sea urchin. It has the ikura from Yarra Valley. It has the Wagyu from Tasmania and foie gras from France. And it is an Asian dish. The flavors are Asian. And I'm trying to say to the market, this is what we can produce, quality ingredients. We sell that for $69, I think it is. And we sell more than, I think more than 10 a day in each store. So customers really want good quality items now. And as an Asian restaurant owner, that's what I want to do. I want to say to the world, we have what it takes to really show the world Asian food is good and is a high quality standard. Yeah.
So you mentioned that you're launching in Kuala Lumpur next year, which congratulations on that. And also Jakarta as well. How are you feeling about that? And also, do you have any advice for other restaurateurs who want to expand during this period?
So we've opened Kuala Lumpur in June this year, so about 2 months ago.
Okay.
So I guess what we did, we started a brand in Melbourne, and what I'm very proud of is the fact that Melbourne was known around the world as a real great food city. I think after the COVID, it's going to change. People aren't going to view Melbourne the same anymore because the cost of doing business here is massive. People don't realize how expensive it is to actually run a business in Australia, to open a business, to build a restaurant, and even buy equipment. It is ridiculous. Like the chopsticks I have to buy here cost me like $1. But in Asia, the same chopstick costs 10 cents. So it's just really expensive. So for us, when we were approached to enter the malls in Malaysia and partner up with a local partner there, we jumped at the chance to say that, well, a brand that was born and made in Melbourne can really grow international. And that's what I'm probably most proud of. And my advice is at the moment to those in Melbourne who are looking at expansion is just survival mode right now. As bad as it sounds, but it'll get better. I think just keep things going, focus on what you're good at doing, focus on the customer, giving the customer the best experience, the best value, and making them know that you appreciate them. And that's what we try to do at Calia, try to show each individual customer that we appreciate them shopping or dining with us. And, people have many options nowadays. So I think part of what we should all do as restaurant owners is really team together and work out, okay, how do we bring people back to Melbourne and back to the city, for example, to really go, okay, Melbourne's a food city again. And that takes a lot of work from the government as well to help us. I mean, we've got stimulus that doesn't go anywhere near what's enough to help our businesses. I think they give us $5,000. But $5,000 doesn't get you very far in Australia.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
what has given you the confidence, to still go ahead with the launch in Jakarta?
So with Jakarta, I guess, what I'm trying to show my staff and try to show people here as well is that there's hope. There's light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, COVID, hopefully there's a vaccine that's found soon and, it will end eventually. And I'm trying to show the community as well that after that, we can rebuild ourselves. We can pick back up and families can meet again. Families and friends can meet at restaurants again and dine with each other, have fun, drink together, laugh together. And I'm trying to create that hope. I think by opening these stores, by investing my, own money to make sure that we can look to the future. And I have a new Emporium store that's opening next month in the middle of the CBD during lockdown. There's 100 jobs there alone in the middle of the city that we'll be providing through that store alone. And people said to me, why are you still opening a store during COVID, during lockdown? I said, because, in the end, people will come back. People need to go out. And also, I see the look on my staff's face when, they say, oh, are there any hours I can work? And I'm heartbroken when I can't give them the hours. But knowing that the customers support us and knowing that I can re-employ my staff again, it means the world to me.
Can you tell us a little bit about your backstory, actually? Maybe we should have asked that in the beginning because how did you get into hospitality? Was it that your parents or something had a restaurant? What's the story?
My relatives, my grandfather immigrated to Australia in the 1940s and 50s. So how it worked is that my dad's side, they had some of the first Asian grocery stores in Melbourne, in North Melbourne and in the CBD, Chinatown, in the 70s, as well as Queen Victoria Market. And they also opened one of the first Chinese restaurants in St Kilda called Ferry Stalk. So I guess the food and restaurant business has always been in my DNA. And I started off selling, I went to the market, Queen Victoria Market at 3 a.m. with my father to sell vegetables, to sell fruits. And I go and deliver ones with him to the restaurant. And you see the restaurant owners. And then it's like, oh, this is quite interesting, especially as a child. You get free food, you get some fried rice and, it's just delicious as a 8-year-old child. And I mean, my father died when I was 12, unfortunately. And it was one of those ones that left quite a severe impact on the rest of my life. I was quite depressed for a while and I didn't really know what to do in my life. But then I sort of look back on my heritage and you go, okay, well, they started off selling fruit, vegetables, wholesaling it to restaurants. And that's what Calia eventually started doing. We imported gourmet ingredients from Asia to Australia and we exported gourmet ingredients from Australia to Asia. Then my partners and I said to each other, why don't we just, offer it direct to the public? So we weren't actually going to open a restaurant. We were going to open a gourmet grocery. Then we met Francisco, our Michelin-starred chef in Singapore, and we said, okay, let's do something together. And I guess that's how we started the restaurant. And we didn't know how it'd go, to be honest. We didn't know people would pay for truffles or A5 Wagyu. We didn't know if people wanted to spend $69 on a bowl of rice in a shopping center in the middle of the CBD. But luckily we were proven wrong, our fears were proven wrong. And, to this day, we have queues from between 2 to 3 hours for lunch seat. And hence why we're expanding in the CBD as well to a bigger store.
So what fueled you or what's still fueling you, do you think, in this, with what you're doing?
I think ultimately, in the end, as a child of immigrants, we come to Australia, or our parents came to Australia looking for a better life and looking to do something. And I think seeing how hard our parents worked and their parents worked, we also say, okay, we don't have kids to work that hard as well. But, what fuels me, I guess I have a daughter and I want her to be proud of her father in the end. And that's not just through business. The past few weeks, we've been giving out care packages to disadvantaged, the elderly students who, don't have any form of income. The disadvantaged, especially who don't have $10 in their account. And we'll be giving out care packages of masks, food, sanitizer to them. And that's what actually fuels me. It's giving back to the community that's provided to us. I want my daughter to be able to say in the end, oh, my dad did a lot for the community. He didn't just own restaurants and sold good food. I want her to be proud of her father. And I think that's what's changed since she was born, is that fuel is now different to creating a successful business to say, Melbourne has what it takes to build a business, a global brand, to, okay, what can I do to contribute to society now? It's quite different since when I first started in the business world.
No doubt, no doubt. And you would have received or got rejections along the way, I have no doubt. Many rejections?
Many. I mean, landlords didn't look at us when we first applied to enter their stores. They would ask, who are you? We had a landlord who we applied to open the first Calia store at, and for I think nearly 2 months they didn't even get back to us. And then, because they're like, well, who are you? What are you doing? What are you trying to open? Nah, your product won't sell. But Vicinity Centres, who owns Emporium and Chadstone and a lot of other shopping centres around Australia, they actually backed us quite well. They put their faith in us, especially, the leasing manager, Damon. He really put his faith in us and gave us a go and said, okay, I'll give you a go at Emporium. And we were shocked. Emporium was the premium shopping centre in Melbourne. And the shopping centre we tried to go into before wasn't very premium. And thank goodness we went in there, because right now I think there's like 90% occupancy. It's not a very good centre. Like, it's in the CBD, but it's not a good one. So I would say, even suppliers would reject us. They would be like, oh, I don't supply small stores or small restaurants. And now they're knocking our door every day going, oh, can we please supply you? So rejection is, I think, what makes us stronger. We learn from it. We learn from failures. I failed in business before, and we learn from it. We grow, and you don't learn from success. You learn from when you fail.
Mm-hmm. I keep on saying that over the years. Embrace failure and walk with fear hand in hand.
Absolutely. You can never rebuild yourself, and you appreciate things more when you've lost it all and you've failed.
I mean, not everyone can be the same as you and have that resilience. So how did you build that resilience? Was it like business mentors or reading a lot of books, or what was it that kind of shaped you the way you are and to deal with all these adversities?
I guess I would say, my wife.
Behind every great man, there's a greater woman.
Is she standing right next to you or something?
Losing my father at 12, I really didn't have a father figure in my life, and my grandparents and all that were overseas in Malaysia. So it's hard, and they speak Chinese. I only speak English, unfortunately. And I didn't have a mentor exactly to guide me or teach me. My mum, is a nurse, and she worked 5 days a week. And to this day, she's still working on the front line. And having such strong women in my life really showed, me how much resilience there is. Like, my mum had to raise 3 kids on her own, on a nurse's salary, and put us through school and feed us, especially, after losing a husband. And that showed me, I guess, resilience in the end. But also having my wife beside me, marrying her, was the best thing that could ever happen to me. She's the strength in my life. She supports and guides me no matter what. And I think I'm a very, lucky person to have met her. And, I think, as funny as it is, there wasn't any books or mentors. It is naturally just my mother and my wife.
Wow. That's, sometimes, I can relate so much to your story as well. Growing up in a single parent household, I too lost my father when I was very, very young. So it's funny, isn't it, watching the people around you, your mother, in my case, my mother too, and and kind of and the journey that you have been through and experiencing loss at such a young age, you have to then just rebuild yourself.
That's right.
Yeah. And it's funny. I mean, I've only in later years have I looked for mentors, but probably like yourself growing up, you have to just do it, don't you?
Yes.
Do you see the value of mentors now, though? Like, would you reach out to a network of people in your network of business to support you as well, and to grow your business and to grow yourself?
Yes, absolutely. I think mentors are extremely valuable. I think, especially people starting off on their journey in the business world or the corporate world, having a mentor to really give them advice and to guide them, especially through stressful and problem periods, is helpful. You want someone to be there with you to, sort of make you feel more comfortable as you fight the fight of your everyday, battle. And I would always want to be in a position where I could mentor someone or help someone if they required or ever needed. And I think, mentors nowadays are what sort of encourages the next generation of entrepreneurs and business owners to go out and pursue something. And mentors can teach them their failures and what they've been through, not just success. And I think everyone is focused on success right now and less failures. But like I said before, I think you really learn from failure.
Were there any sort of highlights in your restaurant journey besides opening up the new stores? But was there a defining moment, maybe like a guest experience or something like that like you just can't forget?
I think it would have to be, there's a particular VIP guest who we have. She works in the city, and we have tracking on all our guests, as in like you put your phone number down and your name down when you want to see it at our stores. So we're able to track how many times customers have been to our stores. And this particular guest came to Calia in the city 52 times in 3 months.
Wow. I thought you can say 52 times over the year, 52 weeks, once a week.
Yeah.
No, it was 52 times in 90 days. And
wow.
It's like X more times than I've actually been to the store.
That's amazing.
And I guess that is what in the end ultimately shows the value of our brand to customers, because she treats it obviously as a everyday dining place. And people sometimes think, Calia, you only have expensive items. That's not true. We have Wagyu sukiyaki bowls for $16. And that's it. You come in, have your meal, have a coffee and go. We also have, like I said, the expensive bowls that are $70 plus. But, to see customers come here so often and line up and wait half an hour to 3 hours for a table, that's what probably shows me how much we've done with Calia. And to this day, I want to keep growing it. I want to be in a situation where I can serve more customers, and I'm expanding my retail area so customers can have that experience at home as well.
So we've just asked about the highlights, but what about, have there been some really dark moments, some moments when you think, how do I continue on this journey to build this business?
Absolutely. I mean, this year itself has been particularly hard for us. We have a Chinese restaurant. We had to close it permanently because of COVID. We faced a lot of racism, actually. When COVID first started in January, it was seen as the, Chinese virus. Anyone who was of Asian heritage was seen as, a carrier of the virus. And I experienced this. I experienced racism while driving to my store. Someone winded their window down and shouted at me and said, you're the reason why the virus is here. You brought it here. Well, I'm like, I'm born here. There's no way I've brought the virus here, but, I haven't been overseas lately. But not just that, I think my staff have faced it as well. Physically, they've been pushed on the street and yelled at and said that, oh, you're the virus.
Gosh.
So I think, seeing them come to work upset and trying to make them feel better and go, there's only a small minority of the population who view it this way. Unfortunately, they can be quite vocal. So this year has probably been the most difficult and hardest time of, our business career and our lives. Just trying to, I guess, get through it is hard. But my Chinese restaurant, unfortunately, we had to close it because of the situation. Customers, we had bookings for Chinese New Year of 200 tables. Overnight, when COVID was, the news came out about COVID, we went down to I think 50 or 40 bookings. So it just dropped overnight.
Wow. That's
6 months.
So you're talking about for next year. So the cancellations for next year as well in 2021?
The one that just passed. Yeah.
Just passed. So, that was in January. So can you imagine what we've gone through since then? So we made the decision to close it because it's just not sustainable anymore. And, that's probably, this year has been a real tough time for us, but we have hope. Like, we're converting that restaurant into a Japanese barbecue and grill, which is, what you see now. This is where I'm sitting right now.
Yeah.
We're converting that to, also of a more value sort of offering for our customers. And I guess I'm a positive person. I try to turn negatives and downfalls into positives. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, no matter how successful you may be, you will always go through failure still, and you'll still learn. You always grow. And as long as you can accept and understand, those failings, I think you'll be stronger for it.
Are there any tips? Where do you draw your strength from? And you've got a wonderful wife, supportive, and your mother. But, through these dark moments, do you turn to anything like meditation, calming music? Do you do yoga? What do you do to fill up your own cup in order for you to carry on and continue to remain positive?
I mean, that's a good question, because coming to think about it, I don't actually do anything for myself. I don't actually meditate.
You don't fill your cup.
Come to think of it, I actually don't.
I think because you've got fabulous food, like you've got Wagyu every day, probably like have a shot of sake every day too.
I mean, of course, I enjoy a glass of wine and some whiskey, but I think, coming to work and really looking at what we can do to, I guess, like recently we've been giving out care packages. I've been driving myself personally to, doctors and giving them just some care packages just to say thank you to them. And I think that's what's probably been filling my cup lately. Just trying to give back. Like, we've worked with the Malaysian consulate here we're planning to give out 100 care packages to Malaysian students who are suffering right now. And at the moment, that's what's probably giving me a lot of happiness, is giving back. Because I get a lot of personal messages to my social media asking, for help. And, some people said to me, I've got $10 left in my bank account. I don't know how I'm going to buy food tomorrow. And I'm like, come to Calia. We'll give you some food, give you some tissues, give you some masks and some sanitizer, just to help you, but a little bit. I can't help, a huge amount, but as long as I can get you through the next few days, if you need more help, then just come back. And that's what's probably giving me the biggest satisfaction right now. Yeah.
Well, somebody has to also look after you, and you have to look after yourself, Jason.
Yeah. Taking a holiday after this is over. We can fly again.
Make sure you fill that cup of yours.
Yes, thank you.
Look, thank you so much for your time, and really appreciate you sharing. And I hope Melbourne, I know that today's news is that the cases have gone down. And I'm really hopeful, because the whole news around COVID in Victoria is really just not killing Victoria, but I think it's killing the whole of Australia.
It is. It's killing everyone.
And I'm just still wondering why. I still don't understand why that's the case. I would love to explore that conversation to know why is it that Victoria is getting all of these cases.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I think all of us are wondering why as well, and we just can't wait for it to drop.
Yeah. So, look, thank you so much. And that's Jason, wishing you well, and good luck with the opening in Jakarta. And let's hope that Eating Out will be back soon in Australia, because I know that there are other restaurants that have and eateries have been greatly impacted. We're going to have the CEO of Restaurant and Catering on, Wes Lambert, on Dawncast as well in the next few weeks. So we'll get to hear from him in terms of, from the industry perspective, how that's going.
Yep, that's very good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Well, thank you, and thanks for your time. So that's it from us at Dawncast. And if you like to support our growth, please click the bell below and subscribe to our channel. I'm Dai Lee.
And I'm Cathy Ngo.
And see you soon.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
You better turn up. You better be there when I shake. Watch me rocking if I can't stop.